We had 16 issues that were troubling, and we had head-to-head battles between them, and we're down to 4 issues. And the out I want to give you, Victor, is maybe the way to consider these things like the horsemen of the apocalypse. That there are 4 of them that are riding shoulder to shoulder as opposed to one. But maybe you don't want to go that way. Maybe there is one of these, and they are the ruin of cities, the destruction of the nuclear family, the ignorance of post-educated children following 16 years of education in America, and the growth in secularism and or irreligiosity. Maybe there's one of those issues that you find most troubling, but are they all sort of equal in your eyes? What's your take on this?
They're all part of the same monster. They're all components. So the lack of education means that things don't work. And the blue state, blue city ideology politically ensures that they don't work. And the morality behind that, without a divine sanction, shows that they're not going to work. And uh, we could go on to all 16. It's all part of a component, and it's like the hind legs, the horns of the Revelation beast. You know what I mean? It's the tail, and it's a combination in these blue states where the schools do not train the people. The family is completely destroyed. People are atheist, and then the blue city tries to address those pathologies by giving, and taking from somebody else who's productive, and the productive people leave. And so a Mayor Johnson or Gavin Newsom or Jasmine Crockett or Elizabeth Warren, they're just the same person with 1,000 faces. They really are. They must have a factory somewhere that makes these people, because they all are privileged, whether political power or financial power, and they feel that they want to experiment on the body politic like it's a white rat. We're lab rats. Let's just try, I know, we'll mandate mileage, and Ford will have to spend $30 billion on the Ford Lightning, and then we'll tell them to bill it that it's a wonderful truck, and then people will buy it. They'll pay $80,000, and then they'll discover that when they're out on the trail and they're loading it up with camping equipment and pulling a boat, it doesn't get 300 miles. It gets more like 100. And, now we're going to cancel that $33 billion project. That's what they're going to do. And all of these experiments don't work. The windmills don't work. The solar panels are not cost to benefit efficiently. And maybe fusion nuclear power will save us. Maybe more natural gas. Gavin says now he's going to give 2,000 permits. What good would that do, Gavin, if you pump the oil, if you can't refine it? Especially if you can't refine it to your very, very, very specific, unique 1 out of 50 state requirements for gas. And you're going to import gas from Japan probably if you shut down these refineries, because there won't be anybody who can make it, because no other state makes it, because no other state is as crazy as your state. And so all of this component we've talked to is, and I'm not trying to be too depressing on Christmas Eve, but it's all very worrisome. But what is good about this country is still the majority, and there's an antithesis to that. I try to read the letters many I can from our viewers, and they're just really heartwarming. They're, "Dear Mr. Hanson, my husband and I worked side by side in a factory for 40 years. We bought our house. We have 10 grandkids. My son went to Vietnam. My son went to Gulf War. I went to Vietnam. He went to Gulf War. It's just really inspirational stories about the people who keep the country going. And it is that model. And I think they're finally saying we're kind of the proverbial sleeping dragon, and we've been poked and poked and poked and poked and ridiculed and made fun of. We're sick of the late night comics make. We're sick of the deplorables. We're sick that people call us garbage. We're sick of being called sexist, racist, nativist. We're not going to listen. We're not going to take it anymore.
Yeah,
And I think that
no more fetal position, yeah.
no more fetal positions, make it all go away. I really don't. I think that. And then there's one other element to all of this. Trump, whatever people say about him, and I've said he's crude and he's uncouth, but I mean it in a superficial sense because crudity is being mean to people. I don't mean rhetorically. I mean depriving them of economic advantages or getting them blown up in Kabul or not protecting the country's national interest or a 9.1 inflation rate in 1 year. That's cruel. That is cruel. And Trump's not doing that. And all you have to do is look at the Wall Street Journal and look for the adverb unexpectedly. And you will see unexpectedly there's 4.2 growth. Unexpectedly, the inflation rate went down to 2.7. Unexpectedly, most of the jobs that were gained were for citizens, and most of the jobs that were lost were for non-citizens. Unexpectedly, there was a record year in military recruitment. Unexpectedly, there is almost no illegal immigration. So things are getting very good. And I have a feeling that when you combine this calculus of $10 trillion in foreign investment with another 10 trillion in nuclear fusion plants and AI and biotech and all these new technologies that are starting to be reified and the deregulation and tax reductions in the big beautiful bill and this Doug Burgum, gosh, I mean, he's going full blast and 14 million barrels almost. They'll get up to
He
15.
he
That's
he
incredible.
put out a great analysis of the BS of the wind power the other day. Just really, really, quite impressive and almost sinful that these lefties with these turbines, each turbine itself, whatever power it could actually generate is less than the power it takes to make the damn thing. So
I
why
just
make
drove over. We just drove back from Stanford on Pacheco Pass, and they're the biggest turbines I've ever seen. And it was winter, and not one was moving. There was no wind, nothing, nada. And then I'm out at my farm, and I have 44 panels, and we have had an inversion layer for prior to 2 weeks with no sun. We didn't see the sun for 2 weeks, and now we have 4 days of rain. And I looked at, there's no generation. So I'm talking to you from the grid. And for all the talk about wind and solar, they're not working in California when it's an inversion layer and it's raining. Right now, we're dependent on one nuclear plant at Diablo Canyon for 20%, and the rest is either imported coal-generated electricity from our neighbors or hydroelectric from Oregon or our own hydroelectric or our own natural gas. That's it. And so it doesn't work, and I think people will find that out. I hope. And I think we're going to have an economic renaissance in the first 2 quarters of next year. I think we're going to have economic growth well over 4%. I think inflation will be down below 2%. It's hard to predict, but I think interest rates are going to fall, and we're going to see a huge boom. And we saw this in 2019, and then COVID hit. And I will guarantee you that the left will think of something of a site. They'll either try to shut down the government if they win in the midterm. They'll try to do something, but they will not enjoy the bounty that their fellow citizens will have.